Welcome to another episode of Inside CG. I'm joined by
co-host Whitney, and today we are talking a full episode on how I lost 20 kilos post-baby number 2, because I have been, I suppose, like smashed with questions about this. I want to try and keep my mum hat on so I can keep super relatable to, you know, the women that are thinking about having a baby, have potentially lost their weight post-baby, and are thinking about, you know, their weight loss journey or whatever that is. So we're just going to go like on a flow, a conversation. People will chime in, but it'll probably be me yapping most of the time. And we'll start from the top. So what is the top?
The top is postpartum.
No, not really.
Well, you had heaps of people asking you. They wanted you to tell us more about your journey. So where do you start? You pushed out a baby, breastfed for a long time, and then what? I still remember, right? The hardest things for me as a husband is like you lost your sense of identity a lot. You kind of were breastfeeding, you're up every night. So it's a bit honest here. Yeah. And then you were kind of waking up, have a morning coffee, and then feed, and then nap again, and then where were you at the time?
Well, I want to take it like before the birth, right, yeah. Because I think that comes into it a lot for the ladies, is like when you fall pregnant, and say if you're into like a regular routine of training or working out and your nutrition, is like things change for quite a few women then. Like we're faced with that fear, is like, can I continue training? How often should I be training?
Well, let's just remember as well, we weren't planning this whole thing.
Yeah.
It just happened. You know how you had the time because you were training.
Like, you know, there's rumours like your heart rate shouldn't go so high. I had a food aversion, so I could only eat bread for 5 months.
No, let's just be honest here.
Yeah.
She was vomiting every time she ate a certain type of food, and she'd wake up in the morning, brush her teeth and vomit. And she'd just vomit all day, and I felt really bad because I couldn't do anything about it.
So for myself, like again, this will be like on my journey, is like, I think the fact that I could not stomach protein or smell it, Pamorn couldn't cook a chicken in the house, is I lost like a majority of my muscle mass. So even though I continued to train like the whole pregnancy, it wasn't at the level of my normal training. I couldn't eat that protein. I lost a lot of muscle, and I think that was a big reason why after giving birth I gained so much weight. And not everyone is like me. Like some women give birth and, you know, they look amazing, but that was not the case with me. And I want to talk about some of the stigmas that are like associated with having a baby. It's like that bounce back. I think there's a lot of pressure on women to bounce back really fast, and suddenly like dad bods are trending. So there's like, it's kind of cool to have a dad bod now, but for us who actually like grow a baby for 9 months, like deliver it, go through like the postpartum, it's like you guys have to be looking great straight away. And then because I'm in the fitness space, there's even more pressure to look good, but it definitely was not the case with me. So I want to really like hone in on like what helped me, what didn't help me, and like second time around, like I kind of was like mentally prepared for it. So yeah, post-birth, I had gained it just shy of 20 kilos, which is apparently quite normal. But like mostly it was because of my muscle mass was gone. So what normally happens is you have the baby, just depending on the birth, like, and then you have your 6-week checkup. So what do we have after the birth? We went to Thailand.
Yeah.
So it was like we didn't have much time for me to physically get ready.
I'm just trying to recap, that far back. So just did the Achilles, just had the surgery, went to Thailand straight after.
Yeah, so it wasn't like if I couldn't train for 6 weeks and then, you know, at 10-week mark we're going to Thailand to train twice a day.
Yeah, and that was kind of a slow easing process with, you know, training twice a day and running.
So I went to like a postpartum physio and said, look, I've got to go to Thailand, like 10 weeks postpartum, like how do you think my body's going to go? And she kind of laughed at me and says like, you're actually probably dreaming. This is what I'd recommend. Like we put out a plan, and that's something I'd suggest, is like get to your physio, make a plan, have the assessments, and say like, these are my goals. And I ended up doing like quite a few reformer Pilates sessions to get that strength back.
How was it?
Humbling, very hard.
How so?
Well, I think you're just so weak post-baby, and Pilates is something I've never done. I know it's really trendy at the moment and everyone does reformer, but it's just like works muscles that you never really used before.
Right. And how many sessions did you do it after?
I don't know, like maybe 10? Yeah.
That's cool. Did you have to find that you had to really force yourself to get outside your comfort zone, considering you like to hit things and do fast and hard, or?
Yeah, I kind of used it as a base to like, okay, well, if I'm at 0 now, what are the mini steps that I need to do to get back to where I was or somewhere close to where I was? And I made a plan kind of in my head of, okay, first step is like I've got to get my pelvic floor back strong. And then when that's strong, I can, you know, start hitting pads, start lifting weights, start running, start skipping, all these miniature steps. It was kind of like reverse engineering.
Yeah, I did see that you were very gradual with your progress. It was kind of like you knew, I don't know, it seemed like you'd already done your dash. You're an old dog in a sport where you know you have a use by date. But the thing is, you kind of went against that, considering there's 2 people in your training camp that told you were too old. But I could see the intent. I'm not saying this because, you know, I'm trying to make you feel good, but I could see the intent was different to the past training camps where you had to get fit. You know, you come back from multiple ACL injuries. You know, you've done a lot of injuries and you've come back progressively. But this time, it was more like you had an intent. You had your ladder rungs to climb and you went after them and you went hard. So it was just baby
really.
steps. Like Pilates, you're training a couple of times a week, you had runs in there, and then you obviously implemented a great fight dietitian, which we'll go into after.
So I think some of the biggest mistakes I've seen, like myself make with baby number 1, and then other mums that have come in the gym, is like have the baby and rush back in and then try and do what they were doing straight away.
What happens with that though?
I think your body's simply not ready. You're also dealing with a baby crying at night, waking up 2 to 3 hours.
You're not getting enough rest.
Not enough rest. The hormone thing is huge. Like breastfeeding, you know, going through the postpartum recovery, your body is just like, you cannot be doing this. And that's like a red flag for me, is like, I really need to make sure that I ease into this, just with the knowledge I have from baby number 1. But also, like, mothers do not have the same 24 hours as other people, and I've seen this all over the internet. It's like we all have the same 24 hours, and the old Whitney, you know, like coaching people would say things like this, and now I look back and I go cringe. Like I had to accept like a 30-minute workout is better than no workout. The old Whitney may have had unlimited time to do double training sessions a day, multiple sessions, but there's still value in a quick 30-minute workout. And parents should not feel ashamed of just having that much time. Yeah, so it's like gradual in, small workouts are good, lots of rest, and then before you know it, you've built your foundation, you've got a strong base. And I felt around the 8-month mark that I could start pushing really hard in sessions.
Yeah, well, you definitely saw the noticeable difference, because I'd come in, obviously Lama was holding pads for you a lot of that time. You could noticeably see from when you came back to when you actually started to ramp up your training. And Lama, he doesn't hold back when he coaches you, and when he holds the pads, you could see that you were kind of back to fast footwork, your reactions were quicker, you're kicking with more intent, you're definitely a lot hungrier, like a lot more fire in the belly, and you could keep up with the pace.
Yeah, and
that was a difference. And
that's another thing is, obviously with the body changes and the weight gain, I think, you know, like I had 20 kilos on me. I had so much weight-bearing weight that my joints were sore, my Achilles were aching every night, like I was limping around the house. My calves were always blowing out. And it's really hard to get in your head, or easy to get in your head and go, fuck, this is like, I'm trying so hard with everything, training really hard, I'm showing up, like some of my sessions are, you know, only short, but like here I am, I'm so sore. It would be so easy to give up and say, what's the point? And as a new mum, you know, who's going through this, it's like, you've just got to like stay the course, work through those little hurdles and the obstacles and the soreness and the sleep deprivation, and like turn up for yourself. Because eventually, I think when I lost about 10 kilos, the Achilles and the calves just stopped hurting. And it was like, you know, I was a little bit more aerodynamic. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a harder question, because I'm sure the people listening who are taking the time to get this far into this podcast want to hear is, it's kind of a sensitive subject at home, because Whitney always said to me she never wanted to make a big deal about retiring us per se, especially after
Pete, we've got this whole thing.
I know, but I've got to ask the question.
Yeah.
We always talk about people's why and how important and powerful that is for you, because your self-doubt was a big thing, especially with the training, the fatigue, the imposter. What was your biggest why? Because that's
it was
a huge
never
thing.
about the fight. It was literally none of this, like, in my head I was done. And then it was just about feeling good about myself. I literally, you know, as a wife, you know, like, that has sex with her husband and has to go to the beach in summer, and, you know, thinking about buying a bikini a year later because I gave birth in December. It's like, I want to be proud of the person that I am. And I know I'm a better person when I'm around XYZ kilos, because, you know, how you look and feel has so much to do with your mental health and how you interact with people. The fight came like way later down the journey.
Yeah.
So that was really my why, was like, I just want to feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And I remember with Björn, there was like a little bit of a period there with like postnatal stuff that you know, rocked me a little bit, especially with the identity and my body. It was like, what can I do and what can I control to really like aid my mental health and avoid like the postpartum dump or depression. And that was it.
Yeah. Oh, that's powerful. It's really cool. So it's not just about the fight. It was a case of being in your best state.
Yeah.
Being a certain health focus on yourself, getting back to where you used to be, surrounding yourself with good people, setting like small challenges for yourself with that time in your week.
Yes. So that was training, slow journey in, started picking it up, you know, like 3 sessions a week, 4 sessions a week, and then it kind of just built up over the time. But then what I found was my nutrition, like I've done, you know, loads of fight camps. I've, you know, been under 10% body fat.
Almost 20 fight camps.
So I know a lot about nutrition myself, and I've done some like extra courses on it. But what I would find, and I'm sure this is like something that we can all relate to, is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm on. Everything's prepped, I'm eating to the plan, and then Wednesday night comes and I'm like, fuck, I'm cooked. Like this week's got me, I'm just gonna get Uber Eats. So like the floodgates would slowly open, so Wednesday night would turn into Thursday, oh, it's Friday, end of the week, let's go and treat ourselves, and then the weekend comes. So I was really like hitting a plateau with my weight. I think I got to like 72, 73, and I just like was not moving because I had no accountability. Like I was my own accountability.
Yeah.
So then I decided to engage with like a nutritionist, and there's a bit of a backstory behind this. Is I won't say like both are great. So I've used another guy for some fight camps, and like he was like 100%. I could not fault him. But as like a coach, when it comes to us dealing with fighters, we like to refer people on that we trust.
Yeah, people that we know do a good job.
Yeah.
And they've done well by what we see.
Yeah. And, you know, like as a fight prep coach, you know, like if they have a nutrition, it's one less thing for you to worry about.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
So I'd heard a lot about another guy, and I'd heard a lot about my guy, like pros and cons, and, you know, every client gels with a different coach or a different nutritionist.
Right.
So I said, look, I'm not thinking about fighting, but I want to lose some weight. I'm going to go with the other person and just see like what it's all about. So it was Jack
Doherty from the Fight Dietitian.
Yeah. So I'd seen his content, and I was a little bit drawn to it. So we had like an initial consult on the phone. So he spent about 20 minutes with me going through like, what are my goals? Again, at that time, it was not fighting. What am I eating? When am I training? How hard the sessions are? And Jack is like a high, how do you, like, he works with like UFC superstars.
A high level coach, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just this like fat mum. So I was like, you know, I don't want to waste his time. I felt the imposter syndrome came back. So something that was really important to me at the time of being like a mum, again, battling like mental health and postpartum stuff, is like fueling my body with the best food possible. Because as a mum and like a parent, we get caught up with like the protein snacks, the shakes, the bars. Yeah.
Time.
You think like, fuck yeah, I'm eating healthy and high protein, but it's not food. So Jack was really big on like gut health and good food and lots of veggies, and he created this meal plan. And just, you know, like Murphy's Law, week 1 I got like really sick. So I said, look, if there's one thing I control, it's the food that I put in my mouth. Just because I'm sick, I shouldn't go off plan. So I didn't lose any weight the first week, and then after that it was like on average about like half a kilo a week. So we were getting some really good results, and we didn't change the plan, and we just kept going. And if I had a bad week, it'd be like, fucking pull your head in. And what he made me really think about was like, Whitney, why did you go off plan that night? Like, was there anything that happened that day? And it would be like, yeah, something that I struggle with is if I'm tired because I've been up all night, is I binge because, you know, I'm tired and emotional.
What do you binge on?
Chocky. Or just like, you eat your kids' snacks.
Finish them.
Yeah, you finish them.
And let them go to waste.
Yeah. Or, you know, like I'm alone a lot, so you and Loma would come home after training and I'd want to socialise, so I'd eat with you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So they held you accountable.
And that's what I needed. So every Tuesday we had a check-in, even though I know what's healthy, I know what macros are, but it's having someone to talk to every Tuesday and go like, how'd you go? Get on the scales, let's look at the data.
Yeah. How'd that make you feel?
It makes me really nervous before every Tuesday. You get the email and you're like, what if I haven't lost weight? Yeah. So like when you keep your fighters accountable, like people want accountability, but they're also really scared of it.
Yeah, it's a human thing.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid of feeling embarrassed that you didn't follow the plan or you let the person down. It's pretty normal. But it happens a lot. I definitely can agree. But if you want a great result, sometimes you need to hold yourself to a higher accountability than yourself. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we just kind of had milestones. So like I wanted to get to under 70 and we did that. And then I wanted to get under 65 and then we did that. And then we kind of got to 60. We had to change the plan a bit there. And it was just like that constant feedback loop. And then we got under 60 and then the rest was like quite easy. But all in all, like to have the comparison between like say his competitor, which is great. Like I really loved him, as I said, and Jack. It was just so good to see like how you can get to the same goal in a completely different way. And now I know like that fight is going to gel really well with Jack.
Yeah.
And the other one will gel really well with that guy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about coaching is like not everyone's the right fit for you.
Yeah, 100%. What would you say were the biggest noticeable differences in the preparation or the camp coming down with your nutrition and weight loss and the rest of it?
Like no hunger during sessions, not feeling hungry all day because Jack really went for like high volume meals, like lots of veggies, lots of salad in all the meals. And that was a lot of prep, like it drove me crazy. But I just felt way more satiated.
Yeah. I noticed you were eating a lot more grains with every meal. You're actually eating more consistent meals, which is important, not missing them.
Yes.
Definitely.
And as a parent, like we don't have much prep time.
No.
So I just had to like, again, like get over that excuse and just do it.
Get it done.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you, what was your why in the beginning? Because that's so important the way through, because it'd probably be days where you couldn't really be bothered, or you were tired, or you couldn't be fucked. Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So having that why and knowing what that was for you was that fuel to drive you.
Yeah. And then before you knew it, like 20 kilos was gone and here we are.
Very good.
Yeah.
And how long was that whole process of losing 20 kilos?
Actually that was just over a year.
Just over a year.
Yeah.
How do you feel now, looking back?
I never want to be pregnant ever again in my life.
Yeah, and that's why, ladies and gentlemen, I made sure I got the snip. Not many people know this, and they ask if I have a number 3. Never happening, because poor Whitney, she suffers during pregnancy. Yeah. But also, we've got 2 wonderful children.
Just really good to like be proud that you set the goal and you achieve it. Yeah. But it's also like I'm a person that uses my body like every day, and being pregnant, you're very limited to how much you can do, what you can do, and you know, Muay Thai and pregnancy could not be in like other ends of the spectrum. Yeah.
Vomiting every day was hard to watch because I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. What were some comments? You got some interesting comments throughout the process of training. Yeah. That, you know, you get a couple of the old fellas that come in after a hard day of work in the office and you'd be cracking at the pads. What were some things that people would say to you?
Oh my God, jog my memory with one of them.
Well, wasn't there times where, I don't know, you'd come in and they'd be like, should you be doing this? Like,
oh, yeah, I find it's like the older guys. They just cannot put, like, the idea of a pregnant woman smashing pads just scares them. And I think they're like, I got a lot of comments like, should you be doing this? Is this healthy? Is this right? Because I trained up until 38 weeks. And you're like, you're big. And they're just looking at you like, fuck, are you gonna die? Or push this baby out? And yeah, lots of comments. And then, you know, after, when you're big, you know, people are like, oh, have you started like dieting? Fuck me, man, like. do you think I don't know that I'm fat? Like, why don't you keep your comments to yourself?
Yeah, it must have been hard. How did it make you feel in that moment when people are asking those types of questions? Because they are hard to hear someone asking you so outwardly, but they obviously feel that they can,
Yeah, they obviously feel safe to ask me, but and I have thick skin, and I really get nervous for other women who maybe, are not used to those comments, but just keep your comments to yourself, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and then one other big thing that I mentioned earlier was there were people that said you were too old.
Yeah.
You proved them wrong. You went in there and after 26 months out of the ring, after your second child, and you went in there and you proved to everyone that age is just a number. That's pretty inspiring for a lot of people, because there was girls that were messaging you in the lead up to the fight saying, I'm prepping for my own fight, I'm tired, but you've got 3 businesses, you've got kids, you're coming back. Like, how did that make you feel?
That was really, I think we're all human. It's like the first thing is like, we all have our own story, we all have our own drama in our life, we all have those challenges. Like, no one's challenges are more than anyone else's.
No, for sure. We're all fighting our own battle.
Yeah. Like I was commentating on a girl show, and one girl was 42 in there, the other was 38. No, 42 and 38. And in my head at that stage I was done. And I was like, fuck, this girl's 42. She's in there like smashing it. And I was like, if I count myself out now, like, but she can do it, what's my excuse?
Yeah.
Because I think you can buy into your story, and it's like, okay, if I say I'm too old, I'm too old. Yeah. But like, I am old, but my body's still working. I'm recovering well. There were no injuries, touch wood.
Yeah.
So, you got to listen to your body and yeah.
The other questions I have for you is, in that moment when the referee raised your hand, what was the feeling, or what are the thoughts going through your head?
Yeah. Like, obviously you're happy, but like, to be honest, like, the winning result is so weird. It's always like a bit of an anticlimax.
How so?
Because it's like, to me the result was like, either way, win or lose, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, like, I've gotten here. That is the win for me for this one. I think celebrating is something that, like, we collectively struggle with.
Yeah.
Because in your mind you're like, fuck yeah, I won, but like, I hated the way I fought. I was so
hypercritical.
Yeah, you go back into criticism mode. You're like, I could have done this better. My timing was off. My range was off. Instead of celebrating like, yeah, I got the win, you go into this like, I'm shit mode. And that's just like, I suppose what like high performers are.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing to mention was we had like 70 people surrounding us in our corner, which was really special.
Yeah.
To look back, and everyone was there in our blue and cheering on. And
and having the kids in the ring was like a core memory, like I'll never forget. And like the people in us, like I just was like, hey, I cannot deal with tickets. I don't want to know how many tables there are. I don't want to know who's coming. Like, I don't care if they're coming. Like, I could fight in an empty room. But obviously, like, I'm really grateful for that, but I just let you do it, otherwise I get overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with, especially when you're doing your own shit, focusing on nutrition, dieting, emotions, feelings, and all the rest of it, and fatigue. I get it. But yeah, having the kids there was a really special moment, because not only did you get the win, you've also shown the kids that if you work hard, you put your mind to something, and you surround yourself with the right people, you can achieve what people say is not possible. Yeah. It's something that's, it's definitely gone in a frame, gone straight to the pool room. What else do you want to share with the viewers today? Anything else in regards to your journey, or anything that you want to kind of
No, I just really wanted to talk about like
tips.
The tip is like, start small. Like, do it for you. Find that why, as you said, like, really important is, like, write it down. Like, how can I get 20 is a lot, and there's some women that might have 40. There's some people that have 50 kilos. But it's about taking like the baby steps and not being so overwhelmed that you never start, because it makes me so sad. I want to see the transformations. I want to see people being so proud with themselves that they're just like glowing with happiness. And it sounds so cliche, but if I can do it, like, anyone can do it. Yeah.
Well, great podcast today. Lots of you talking, which is great. And I'm hoping that everyone out there that gets a chance to hear this and open your mind to share your experiences from going postpartum and having your second baby, to go in there after a year of weight loss, with some great coaches and some great support along along the way. You've got to do something pretty extraordinary to go in there and get the win. So well done.
Yeah.
And if you've listened this far, thank you for your time. Thanks for listening. You can follow Whitney at... I try and get this nailed every time, but she always forgets to do it right.
Yeah,
So
Whitney
at Whitney Tuna. My name's Pamorn Mark D. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you tune into the next episode. We've got some juicy content coming up for you all. And remember, if there's anything that you want to see more of, be sure to drop a comment below or shoot us a DM. Peace out.